from Without a Crystal Ball. Welcome to my channel. All right, Miss Jessa Seewald, she is back better than ever. She is the favorite child. If nothing that we've learned in the past few months, it is that Jessa is the blessa. So last week on the show Counting On, they did this entire thing about Duggar weddings. Now the interesting thing here is that they completely cut out Jill Dillard's wedding. Now Jill's wedding was literally featured on the show. Her wedding to Derek was the first part of the first season of Counting On, and her and Jessa were sort of the catalyst that brought Counting On from 19 Kids and Counting after everything happened with with Josh Duggar. So they did this whole montage of how to get married like a Duggar, and they showed Jessa front and center as wedding number one, but that's not how the order went. It was actually Jill. So they literally cut Jill Dillard out of the scenes. And then over the course of the entire episode, they spend the bulk of the time really focusing on Jessa. They went into her story being the first for the engagement, into wedding dress trying on, going into rehearsal dinners, and into the wedding. It was like every other person that got married, whether it was Ginger, whether it was Joy, Kendra, or Lauren, all took a back seat to Jessa Blessa. Not to mention the proverbial mountain of evidence of the room was that Jill was literally cut out. I don't know how a network, even though Jill is not on the show, how do you just erase the history of a child that was literally on the show from the time she was a child all the way up until she got married? Her first child was literally born on the show. It was featured as a birth special. Her wedding was this humongous wedding special. The wedding special of Jill and Derek was a massive ratings hit. Her and Jessa's sort of competition to the aisle and their competition to have kids was a huge draw to audiences. And it was a fundamental reason why the show was so successful, especially in those first few years. So last week's episode I thought was interesting because it was all about Jessa, which kind of tells me that the family has preferential treatment in how they view their daughters. Obviously, Jana is the oldest girl, but she is not yet married. Then comes Jill. Jill has been ostracized. So who's next? Jessa. Jessa has sort of taken rank as the favorite of the family. She is used all the time by the family to promote their agendas. She was the one that was used to speak out and, you know, say and minimize what happened to her related to Josh Duggar. She's the one that when they did a Q&A for the Institute of Basic Life Principles, Jessa was the one that was out there, that was sort of telling everyone, you know, like asking questions to mom and dad. Jessa made those videos where she talked about how great her mom was, how great her dad was, you know, really has been doing a lot of damage control and sort of this way to sort of minimize the overall damage that the family has gone through because of Derek Dillard speaking out against the family related to his wife, Jill. I mean, can you blame him? I can't. So Jessa has positioned herself as the favorite, the golden child, 100,000%. Josh would probably be the favorite child at number one, but he's not able to be in the spotlight because of everything that happened. Mom and dad still clearly care for him and are supporting him in a way because he's living on their parents' property in a house that's on the property. It's actually a large like outbuilding that they've converted into a home. And he and his 6 kids live there with his wife, Anna. He and Anna sold their large, like 3,000 square foot home last year, and now they're living on mom and dad's property. So he can't be viewed by the public, so you can't use Jana. Jana's not married. Who do you elevate? Jessa, obviously. So with Jessa being the favorite, it's not a coincidence that when everything came out about Ivy's birthday, the first thing that Jim Bob Duggar did was he made a comment while Ivy was putting her fingers into her cake about how now Ivy would be able to tell if it was a boy or a girl.
Just let her do it. Let her do it all by herself.
This is gonna tell this will tell us if it's a boy or girl.
It says white.
There she goes.
You find some cake. That's not.
Ivy.
Obviously, that got everyone talking online. As I told you last week, I always feel like Jim Bob Duggar is doing just about everything to stay relevant, to get into the news, to draw in conclusions, to draw into people to talk about them, and it works, right? So he makes the comment, and then all of these publications pick it up. It draws interest into the show. It's this publicity stunt, essentially. So poor Jessa Blessa, has been getting all kinds of questions on her Instagram and on her social media about whether or not she's pregnant, because her dad literally put it out into the world. Now, on the video, she laughed, and so that told me that it was a joke, right? But that didn't stop people from then analyzing her photos on Instagram, looking at what she was wearing, sort of scrutinizing her tummy, whether or not she's gained weight. And listen, I know that like pregnancy is sort of a natural thing to be curious about, especially with the Duggars. You always are expecting one of them to be pregnant. I mean, there was even questions a few days ago about Anna Duggar, because one of my subscribers actually ran into her and she said that she thought Anna literally looked pregnant. Obviously, they're not going to make any sort of announcements until they get to a point where they're comfortable. So, and I can't say yay or nay whether or not she is. We know that Jill's not, but now this whole thing about is Jessa. It's like Ginger's pregnant, Joy's about to give birth, so we have to like get the next person ready for a baby. I mean, that's how the Duggars work. So obviously Jessa had a ton that she had to address on social media. She was getting bombarded. And so finally she took to her Instagram and she said, "Will you announce that the 4th pregnancy soon? Notice the bump." And she said, "There's no baby bump, only tacos. Thanks for asking." Yikes. So Jessa had a little play with it, like, hey, it's just a baby. It's just my after baby belly. Ivy's a year old. And that's the thing is, like, obviously as mothers have more children, our stomach muscles get weaker. And sometimes we just end up having a little bit of a bulge after so many kids, because sometimes our stomach muscles can actually separate and they get weak. And sometimes we're so busy raising our kids that we don't lose the weight. And you know what? That's okay. I think it's just a heightened reaction when your dad puts you into a jam by joking that you're pregnant. I don't know that anyone would have actually gone out and looked at her and thought anything different, because honestly, I've never noticed that about Jessa. Jessa's always been a pretty trim girl, and she's always had, she just looks normal to me. I never thought she looked different. I didn't think in the video that she had with her daughter she looked different. I haven't thought in any of the videos she's put out on YouTube that she looks different. I think she looks great. I mean, amazing. After she's had 3 kids, she has bounced back after nearly every pregnancy. The girl is like, love her or hate her for what she's involved in with her family. I mean, she takes care of herself, and that's a good thing, right? So at least she had a sense of humor and she laughed it off. But dad put number 1 into a jam, knowing that number 1 has the most Instagram followers, obviously. And I mean, she's got like 3 million people following her or something like that on Instagram. It's a big account. So Jim Bob knew what he was doing. Jessa's not pregnant, but it sure got you guys talking. And that's all I've got for today. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Bye, guys.